Hey guys, hope all is well. Rugby Itch here. So for today's video, we'll be doing a once to watch for the upcoming Super Rugby season for 2025. And with us today, we also have the Kiwi lads. First of all, man, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, Tim. Very excited for the Super Rugby season. Six Nations coming very soon as well. So everything kicking back off. But yeah, Super Rugby, only 11 sides. We've lost the Rebels, but it's going to be some competitive rugby this year.
Indeed, indeed. So starting off with you, we'll kick this off straight away. Who is the first player that you believe will be a once to watch for this upcoming season?
Well, for my ones to watch, I wanted to have someone who didn't really play last year, and the perfect man for that role is the number 15 for the Crusaders, and that being Will Jordan. Didn't get to play due to injury, came back for the All Blacks in November and really found his feet, was as if he hadn't even been injured for so long. A little bit similar to Cam Roigard, how
Yeah.
those guys just jumped straight back in and found their form once more. So yeah, Will Jordan, I mean, they've had some pretty big signings, the Crusaders, James O'Connor, for one. It will be very interesting to see how he fits in. But I think if Jordan's in the starting lineup, the Crusaders already are going to finish at least a couple spots higher than they did last year. They were disappointed with how it went, but at the same time, it was understandable. They lost a lot of key players, but Jordan being back is certainly a key for the Satyrs this year.
Yeah, no, he's just a great player. Great player, and yeah, when he's available for the Crusaders, they're a better team. So they'll definitely be. I expect them to be actually be a lot better this year, and maybe challenging for that title once more. But with my one, then for my first one to watch player, I have gone with Artis Sevilla, and I've gone for him just because he is. You could arguably make the case it's the biggest transfer ever in Super Rugby. I mean, it's probably him, and you would probably say when Bowden Barrett moved to the Blues, it's probably the two biggest moves you could say in Super Rugby history. But man, Artist Villa, man, it's to Modern Pacifica that is incredible. Just because like for them, it's going to change kind of just the how they play because last year like they actually did better. Actually, I think they actually were actually decent in getting some results, but just having to play like Artist Villa is just going to elevate the team. And again, they've made additional signings. They've added like Pong Famawasi from the Rebels. They've added Solomon Alamano. Again, he was ex Chiefs player, but was playing in NRL for a while, but solid winger and centers. So they've made some good signings in there, but man, Arts Sevilla, it's just when you add a player like him to your side, it's I expect Mono Pacifica to get like, a lot more wins this year. The question is, do I think they can make it to the playoffs? Well, it'll be a tough kind of tough to see if they can do that. But hey, when you have a player like Artis Villa on your side, just how good he is in the breakdown, I think he'll make it pretty easy. So that's my first one to watch player there. But yourself, who's the next one then?
Just interestingly with Savia, do you think there's a slight chance they may rely on him too heavily? Just because,
Um,
at the Canes, he had a couple guys around him who were
yeah,
helping out, whereas I feel like he's gone to Moana Pacifica and everyone's gone, he's going to be the superstar. But
yeah.
is he getting towards that point in his career that maybe he can't put in those really hard yards that he did right near the start? Is he going to end up with an injury from working too hard for Moana
Yeah.
Pacifica this year?
That's probably the one thing I would say. Like, where if an injury crops up like very early on in the season, then man, that's going to really kind of damage, I guess, kind of what he was meant to do, really, from
Mm.
Pacifico going into this season. But honestly, I think his role is going to be perfect, really, in the system because he is meant to be that main guy. Like with the Hurricanes, like there's so many great loose forwards that you're not able to kind of shine as much as you want to. And I think with Art Sevilla, he's just so good within the breakdown that he'll make it look he'll make it look easy, and he'll help kind of Mono Pacifica gain a lot more possession and just have more opportunities to get more tries. So just having a player like him in your side, I just think it's gonna, like I said, just elevate just their overall game. So I'm looking forward to see what it can do. Again, hopefully there's no injury, but I expect him to do a lot throughout this upcoming season.
Well, you mentioned loose forwards for the Hurricanes, and that is exactly where I've looked for my second one to watch, and that is Peter Lakai. Last season, getting
Yeah,
5 tries, 156 carries. The man is extremely busy, and we actually saw that throughout the Bunnings NPC last
yeah,
year as well when he wasn't selected for the All Blacks. Eventually got in due to that injury replacement, and to be honest, looks like he's going to be a future star for the ABs as well. He had 531 metres carried, 22 defenders beaten, 8 clean breaks, and also made 176 tackles at 90% accuracy. The
he's
man
really good.
works hard. He is a good player. And the thing is, there were opportunities last year that he didn't really get because they had Artie Savia in
Yeah,
that Hurricanes lineup. And with so
mm.
many loose forward that they had on offer, whether that was Yossi, Devon Flanders, whether they had Brad Shields in there, I think Lakai could really shine this year
Mm.
with just a couple more chances. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I also think, though, that he could find himself a little bit similar to what I mentioned about Savia, how throughout the Bunnings NPC, he pretty much worked himself till there was nothing left. A little bit similar to what we've seen for Wallace Satiti. Now he's picked
Yeah,
up that knee injury from just working his butt off.
yeah.
Butts all right to say, I assume, on the Rugby Itch channel. But yeah, he's working hard, and hopefully Lakai has a good season too.
Yeah, no, it's one of those where I think with Peter Lakai, he is just an incredible player, and I think he was fully deserving of his call up to the All Blacks without a doubt.
Yeah.
I think again the only thing I would say to that is just with the Hurricanes, will he play like up to 80 minutes every game? That's the only thing I have in mind because you have players like Dupsy Karifi who are just great players to have on your side. Like you said, you want to say there, you got Brad Shields. There's a number of players who can kind of fit those roles. And with Peter Lakai, he's actually one of the few players I think in that side who can actually fit within all three. So that kind of gives him a bit of kind of versatility to his name, which is great. I'm just wondering like how many minutes he'll get. But hey, he is a great player, and he'll definitely stand out the Hurricanes. But yeah, with my one then, looking towards the Australians now, I've gone with the likes of Andrew Kellaway. And Andrew Kellaway is one where I believe when you look at the Warthogs, because again, the Warthogs, just paint a bigger picture here, they have made so many signings this year, but particularly getting all the players from the Rebels and just putting them all over towards the New South Wales. And man, they've done pretty well from that department to kind of steal a lot of the good players there, particularly from a propping standpoint. I was close to choosing either, Tilan Tupa there or Kalea actually, but I think with Kellaway, I think he's going to go underrated in terms of how big of a signing that is because to be fair, he actually announced he was signing with the Warthogs even before the whole kind of Rebels kind of decision kind of if they were going to go or not. So he was always a player that was always set on going to the Warthogs for this upcoming season, and I think he's just a great player overall. He gets so many running meters when he plays, and he's so versatile in the world where he can play as a 13, 14, 11, even 15. So he can cover a lot of positions, and man, it's going to be great to see what that back line could do for the Warthogs. I mean, you have like the likes of Ted Edmond, Joseph Swahili, you got Max Jorgensen. It's a great back line there. So I'm looking forward to see what he can do because I think he'll bring a lot of energy towards that side, but definitely a lot of tries.
Yeah, if that backline can fire for the Waratahs, they are going to be a very dangerous side throughout the season. I know a lot of people will be looking at Joseph Suaalii, seeing as he's the new big signing, but then Callaway, like you said, he'll go under the radar with
Yeah.
how much work he does. I have a question for you, Tim, and it's to do with rugby league players going into rugby union,
Okay. Yeah.
particular Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, right? He
Ooh.
was made as the next big thing for the Blues in
Yep.
that midfield pairing, and to be honest, never really found that massive rhythm, did
Yeah.
he?
No.
Do you see Suaalii, after what you've seen in November for the Wallabies, doing extremely well in that midfield jersey when given the chance? Only briefly, though, we should
Yeah.
mention he hasn't had
Yeah.
huge
Yeah.
amount of minutes. Do you see him doing a lot better than Roger Tuivasa-Sheck? Because we've got to remember, you chuck Roger into a brilliant side in the Blues. Suaalii's in a bit of an unknown situation with
Yeah.
this Waratahs side.
I think it's just the perfect place for him to go, and particularly when you're comparing him between RTS as well. I just feel like it's one of those where I think both of them were in different situations at the time as well
Yeah.
because you have to remember that Roger was going toward the Blues. Like the Blues were actually a very good team at the time anyway, and they had a player who I particularly like, Bryce Heeb, who unfortunately isn't available for this upcoming season because he got an ACL injury. But he was just he was incredible anyway. So they didn't really need a player like RTS to come in. But hey, he came in, did a solid job, got an All Blacks call up at least, which is kind of expected because of how the things were going to go anyway. But he wasn't like outstanding, and I think like with what we've seen so far from Joseph Swahili, I just think he just has the potential to just be an incredible player for not only the Waratahs but for the Wallabies. So, and I think that 13 jersey just is so perfect for him in terms of how the system goes. Like there was times where people were kind of comparing him towards Israel Folau, like if you can play as a 15 or even like as an 11 or 14. I I don't think that would work for him in the system. And I think they found, I think, a great combination with Leonard Katau. And so I think that was perfect throughout the Autumn Nations. But I will be interested to see what happens in terms of the form of Hunter Basami, because I think he's the other
Mm.
player which, if he has a great season, then it could actually change the mind of Joe Schmidt. So we'll have to see kind of as the season goes on. But for now, I think, yeah, I just think I think he'll do very well this year.
And Smith, he hasn't been afraid to throw in a few curveballs into that Wallaby side. He had a lot
Yeah.
of debutants last year, given plenty of players a chance. which transitions perfectly into my next ones to watch player, and that is Tim Ryan. Now, that man kind of lit the world on fire out on
Yeah.
the wing for the Reds last year. He got 9 tries throughout the Super Rugby season. I'll be honest, at the start of the season, I didn't even know who he really
Oh
was.
no, me
By
too.
the end of
Me
it,
too.
everyone knew exactly who
Yeah.
that man was and what his ability was like. 21 defenders beaten, 9 clean breaks, 51 meters, or sorry, 51 carries, but from those carries, he had 481 meters. So
It's
he's
incredible.
going very well, and I hope he can
Yeah.
do it again because it's not a bad thing having that little bit of extra pressure on these international guys. At the end of the day, there's a British and Irish Lions tour
Yeah.
coming up, and you want to play your absolute best because you know for damn sure that there's going to be a British and Irish Lions side stacked well and truly up against you. So yeah, I think it's going to be important that they have multiple informed wingers. You mentioned about Dylan Peach before we started recording. He's in the same boat, going
Yeah.
to a new side. Ryan at least has been with the Reds yet again for this season, but he's another guy. Step up, get those minutes under your belt, score those tries, and Joe Schmidt might just say you're starting up against the British and Irish Lions.
Yeah. I think he's the one player which he kind of reminds me of the situation with Reiko back in the day when he came first into the scene. Like he would just everyone was like, "Who is this guy?" I mean, again, everyone knew about him kind of from the sevens, kind of, and how
Yeah.
how good he was then. But just his transition into into Super Rugby, and then Hanson being like, "No, we're gonna pick this guy because he's just he's gonna take Julian Sevilla's place and he just wiped the floor against the British and Irish line." So
And
I think
and
that's
then where did he end up, Tim? Just in a different position, wasn't he? Is he in the centres now?
Yeah, he's in the
Oh,
13, and
yeah.
he's killing it.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
but yeah, no. So, but with Tim Ryan, I think he's just an incredible player. I would actually want him to start as in the number 11 spot, and then you have Kellaway, and then you can have Tom Wright as a 15. I mean, that's a dangerous kind of like back three. But at the same time, like you said, there's names like Max Jorgensen who played it as the 11. You have Dylan Peach. You got Betty, who you can't forget about. So like, there's a lot of good names in terms of those winner spots. So it will be a tough competition. But yeah, Tim Ryan, man, just he's a good player. He's a good player. But for my last one, then in terms of my ones to watch, I'm going towards Fiji here, and I'm going with Asafo Masi here. I think he is just the standout player really for them. I think he was just incredible last year, getting the amount of running meters, just try scores, try assists. Like he was all over the place. It was like really him and Ratimanda who were just like um just really doing everything for the Fijian during a time and just getting the tries for them really kind of make that kind of playoff push. So I think Masi is just a player who I won't be surprised if a big team, particularly probably most likely France, kind of comes calling and be like, "Hey, we're gonna give you
Yeah.
this money and just like if you want to join us, then." I wouldn't be surprised because he is just such a good player. He's so good. I don't want the Fijian Jura to lose him because he just is he is probably the best center I think in Super Rugby. I think there's you can make a case for other players, but if he continues having the season what we saw last year, then I don't think anyone's going to come close. But hey, you never know. We'll do a video later down the line, maybe ranking our top 5 centers, and he may be out of it. He may be close to number one. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, that is our ones watch players, guys, for this upcoming Super Rugby season. Hope you guys enjoyed our kind of take on who we believe will stand out. Let us know in the comments who you think will be the standout players for this upcoming season. Like the video, guys. Subscribe. Check out the Kiwi Lads channel. We'll leave a link in the description. And yeah, see you guys next time.